Hi friends. Well, the temperature is dropping, Black Friday is days away, and holiday shopping season is upon us, which means we are entering the time of year when we are pressured to shop like no other. And of course, there are plenty of reasons to buy new clothes this time of year. We might need things to be comfortable in the cold, to wear for the holiday season, to give as gifts, etc. But there's also a whole lot of stuff out there that you are being told you should buy. You might want it in the moment, but you just don't need, won't use, and will end up regretting. So today, we're gonna go through some winter clothes I think you will always regret buying and why, so you can avoid wasting your time, money, mental energy, and closet space on clothes you'll regret, and instead stick with only versatile, great pieces that you'll love for a long time and get a lot of wear out of. First and foremost, the first item that came to mind for me when brainstorming for this video, any itchy knits of any kind. Hats, scarves, sweaters. If it's scratchy, you are simply never going to reach for it, and you're never going to want to wear it, and it's going to languish in your closet gathering dust. Sometimes you find something that truly seems perfect in all other ways. It's a great fit, the colors, the style, everything else about it feels so cute and special, yet versatile, perfect for your wardrobe. And you start convincing yourself you'll somehow get used to the itchiness and just like willpower your way past it, will your way out of discomfort. But the reality is, if you're anything like me, no, you won't. You just won't want to wear it. And every time you consider it and put it on, you'll remember that it's itchy and you'll just take it off and wear something else. Can you tell I have personally made this shopping mistake before and lived to regret it? Obviously, mileage may vary on what feels itchy or scratchy to any individual person. We all have a different tolerance for these things. I personally cannot do wool. I almost always find it irritating even in a blended fabric, but of course some people love wool and it works great for them. The point here is just whatever the material is, if it feels scratchy or irritating to you when you try it on, you're never going to want to wear it in everyday life. I would also like to note there is a bit of a hierarchy to me in which knitted items are the most to least irritating when itchy. Scarves are the worst possible thing to have in an itchy material because they are directly touching such a sensitive area of your skin, your neck. So for me, scarves must be optimally soft. Sweaters are not quite as bad because they're often layered over something else, but the sleeves, cuffs, neckline, etc. are still usually touching your skin at various points throughout your body. So whenever I have sweaters that are even slightly scratchy, I end up avoiding them. And hats, for me, are probably the most tolerable because my hair provides like a pretty good barrier between the hat and my skin. And also you're not usually wearing a wool hat all day long for like 8 hours straight. So it's not my ideal preference for hats, but a warm woolen hat can be okay for me for a limited outdoor period. So when you're considering something that might be slightly irritating, it's also good to consider the context in which you'll be wearing it and how that plays into its tolerability. I think the number one best way to avoid the pitfall of itchy knits in general when shopping for clothing is just to try things on before you buy them, actually feel them against your skin. And if you find it scratchy or itchy, even just a little bit, if you notice it at all while trying it on, it's not worth it. Don't get it, no matter how cute or otherwise perfect it seems. Because if you notice the scratchiness that quickly just trying it on, you'll notice it even more when you try to actually wear it in daily life. If you're shopping online, always look at the material information before you buy something. Check what the fabric is and take note if that's a fabric you normally find comfortable or not. If you're totally new to all of this, you don't know anything about fabrics, look at the fabric tags in your most favorite, most comfortable, most worn clothing, maybe your favorite coziest sweaters, and try aiming for similar fabrics in the future. And if you have any clothing hanging around in your closet that is itchy or irritating, of course, check the material tag on that too, so you know what to potentially avoid in the future. If you're considering buying a material that you don't already own anywhere in your closet, let's say you don't own any wool, and you're considering ordering a wool sweater online, but you don't know if you can tolerate wool or not, I honestly think it's worth it to find a wool knit in real life. Maybe ask if your friends or your mom or your roommate has anything wool that you can just feel just to get a sense of it, or even like go try to find one in a store that you can just feel against your skin to see if you like it. This might sound like overkill. I don't think you need to like go out and hunt down a sample of every new fabric you encounter if you're considering buying it. But I just think when it comes to winter knits in particular, itchiness is such a common risk that can make an otherwise perfect sweater feel totally unwearable. So even if the sweater does seem so stylish and so cute and so perfect in all other ways, if it's itchy when you try it on, or you know it will be itchy based on the fabric info, I just know I always regret that purchase. no matter how cute it is. All right, the second item I think you'll regret buying is a little broader, a little more abstract. It's holiday party attire for parties you're not actually going to. Every year around the holidays, I get so excited about this like aesthetic vision I have for the holiday season. That's so magical and glamorous and full of like gems and sequins and furry textures and metallics and just generally vibes that look like they belong in the world of the Nutcracker Ballet or a New Year's Eve party at a karaoke bar inside a ski lodge. And if you realistically will actually dress like that during the holiday season, you have tons of festive dressy parties to go to, and you love dressing up like that just in general life already, that's amazing, and I am envious of you. But for me, I just know this is a style vision I absolutely love for the holiday season, but it's just that, an aesthetic vision, like an editorial artistic fantasy for my fantasy holiday season, which honestly comes from advertising and which is full of parties where one might wear like a sequined miniskirt and a glam little clutch bag. But that is not my reality. This isn't realistically how I'm spending my holiday season, and this also isn't really how I dress during my holiday season. I don't mean to discourage anyone from dressing up and having fun just because they want to. You definitely don't need an occasion to wear something whimsical and fun and a little more exciting. I just know my version of whimsical and fun and exciting daily dressing still doesn't include sequin miniskirts, you know? And I encourage you to channel your own version of style that's fun and exciting and expressive for you, that you also realistically want to put on your body. There's a difference for me between whimsical clothing I actually want to wear and fun whimsical clothes I just like aesthetically. And if I bought something specifically just to fulfill this aesthetic vision I have for my holiday style, without considering the reality of my lived experience during the holiday season, day to day, and what I want to put on my body, it would never get worn, and I would end up regretting it. To avoid this shopping regret, I have a few tips. First of all, if you don't need anything to wear to holiday parties, you've already got options in your wardrobe for any and all events you have coming up, there's no need to get anything new for that at all. You can just skip the holiday season festive clothes shopping altogether. If you do need something for a festive holiday event, truly nothing you have is working. I'd try to go for something that would also work for my day-to-day life, which for me might be like a relaxed swooshy skirt or a sort of heritage-looking blouse. Things that can feel festive but also comfortable and aligned with my day-to-day style. And finally, if you are buying holiday-specific festive attire that is just for those holiday parties that you can't integrate into your daily wardrobe, it better be for a real specific holiday event you already have locked into your calendar. Don't just buy things for theoretical holiday events and parties that might come up. Buy things to suit the specific holiday events you already know you're actually attending, because clothing for an imaginary event never ends up getting worn. And of course, it may go without saying on this channel, but for anyone who's new here, I always recommend trying to thrift first for anything new you want to add to your wardrobe, but especially for those event-specific items that might not get a ton of repeat use. The thrift store is the way to go. There's always fun, festive, dressy stuff there that other people donated because they also weren't wearing it day to day, and you can get a much better price and get it more sustainably. The point of all this is to say, overall, when shopping, make sure you have real life scenarios where you're going to be wearing the clothes you're thinking about buying, and not just scenarios in which you would wear it, but real life scenarios you know you'll be in. That is a good way to avoid a lot of shopping regrets. All right, the next winter clothing item I think you'll regret buying is outerwear that can only be styled in very specific ways. Maybe it only works with a certain neckline. Maybe it only fits over a very thin base layer because it's very fitted. Maybe the silhouette only looks good with short skirts. Lack of versatility can be regrettable in your closet in general, but I think it's especially relevant with outerwear because the whole point of outerwear is that it is layered on top of many different outfits. Its very nature is to be adaptable and versatile. So if a piece of outerwear doesn't work with many different outfits, you're simply not going to get the use out of it that you want to, unless you are building your outfit from the outerwear in on a daily basis, which I don't think most people are. Most of us, me included, are adding outerwear at the end of an outfit as that protective layer to keep us warm outside, which means most of the time we're going to be choosing that most versatile outerwear that goes with any outfit we've thrown on. I actually, maybe unfortunately, have a great example of this in my own wardrobe. This jacket is so cool to me. It has such a cool shape. I love the asymmetrical buttons. The design is just so exciting and interesting. But the nature of the cool shape and the asymmetrical buttons and the very fitted design is that I cannot really wear this over my typical day-to-day outfits. It's too fitted to work over t-shirts and sweaters. I also feel like you kind of have to wear it closed because of that diagonal line, which eliminates a lot of different tops. It sort of requires the whole outfit to be styled with this jacket in mind. And therefore, I never wear it. I think I've actually worn it only once so far in real life, and it was for Halloween. I was a knight this year, and I did love my outfit, but that's really embarrassing that I've only worn this once and it was for Halloween. Since I have this, I am planning and trying to make an effort still to wear it more. I think it's very cool, but I definitely wouldn't recommend something this specific, particularly if you're aiming to buy like your one main winter coat or jacket for the year that you're gonna wear with all your outfits. In contrast, here's an example of what has been a great choice for me, this oversized trench coat. This is big and baggy enough that it fits over all my other baggy oversized clothes. It fits over my chunky sweaters. It's a wide, loose, flowy silhouette that can be worn open or closed. And it looks great with pretty much any type of outfit underneath. Short skirt, long skirt, pants, dress, whatever it may be. And this has been one of my most worn jackets throughout the fall. For winter, I'm sure I'll have to start opting for something warmer and thicker more often, but I hope my point is still illustrated comparing these two lightweight jackets. It's clear what makes one versatile and get a lot of wear and what makes the other very specific and causes it to tragically languish in my closet. My tip to avoid this particular pitfall when shopping is, when considering buying a piece of outerwear, to think of like your top 5 favorite tops and bottoms to wear in the winter and consider if that coat will work with all of them. If you like chunky knits or baggy oversized clothes, make sure your coat will fit over them. If you prefer to wear your jackets open, make sure it looks good open. If you prefer to wear them closed, make sure it looks good closed. If you wear pants and skirts a lot, pick something that will look good with both of those. You get the idea. Try to look at a coat not just for what it is on its own, but for how it will fit into your wardrobe, how it will physically feel when it's layered and combined with your other clothes, and how it will look and fit in with your style. And if this little exercise has you thinking, oh, it'll work with some of these things, but not the others, or you're trying to convince yourself that it would work because it would be perfect with that one specific dress you have, but no other styling options are coming to mind, leave that coat behind and opt for something else. You'll thank yourself later. All right, our next item I think you'll regret buying for winter is winter accessories like hats, scarves, gloves, mittens that don't actually keep you warm. Now, of course, this depends on your climate, but this is for those of you who are specifically buying winter hats and mittens for the purpose of keeping warm in the winter cold. It doesn't matter how cute or cozy something looks. If it doesn't actually keep you warm, you're going to regret it because you're either not going to wear it or you will wear it in the cold and then you'll be cold and uncomfortable and miserable the whole time because the things you bought aren't warm enough. I think it's easy to want to choose style over pure function while shopping in general, and sometimes that's fine. You know, sometimes the slightly less practical top is still practical enough. But specifically for this type of item that has quite a specific function, that's typically why you would own it and wear it, I think it's extra important to really consider the function of that item beyond just its appearance. Things that can often make a winter hat or scarf too cold are thinner fabrics, materials that are too breathable, they are insulated enough, and in my experience, no matter what they're made of, gloves are virtually never as warm on your hands as mittens because keeping your fingers all together in one mass will always keep them warmer than spreading them all out. Huddling maintains body heat. So if you're going for warmth, I always choose mittens over gloves. Alternatively, to those of you in a warmer climate, I don't know if you're even buying these winter warmth accessories at all, but maybe you are just for the cute winter vibe. In which case, you will probably regret getting the super warm version of these accessories because for you, they'll be too warm. So for your climate, I'd go for thinner, lighter, more breathable winter accessories. Every time I make a video on clothing you'll regret buying, I feel like I include some variation of clothing that is not appropriate to your climate. But you know what? It bears repeating in every season. So here it is again for winter. And obviously for winter clothes, you should keep your climate in mind for all of them. But this time, the focus is on specifically those temperature-dependent items. My tip to avoid this shopping regret is pretty straightforward. Again, just try the item on in person to see how warm it really feels. And also when you're trying on items like scarves and mittens and hats, imagine the real life scenarios you are intending to wear them in, the real weather in your climate that you actually will be wearing them for, and ask yourself if it suits those weather conditions. And if not, opt for something else. And if you're shopping online for this one, again, try to look at like how thick the material is, look at what it's made of, see if it's like lined, if they're mittens or a hat. Look at all the things I described so far and hopefully that will help. The next thing I think you'll regret buying for your winter wardrobe are too many duplicates of those go-to classic winter pieces, like a white cable knit sweater, or black leather boots, or a neutral overcoat. I do think a couple variations of some of your favorite styles can work well if they serve different functions in your wardrobe. Like maybe you have one big oversized chunky cable knit white sweater and then one, more slim fitted white cable knit sweater. Those have different, layering applications, different weather applications. They serve different purposes. Or like with the boots, I personally have some like taller, sleeker black leather boots, and then I have some ankle height, chunky black combat boots. Those serve very different purposes for me. I wouldn't be like, you should only have one pair of black boots. You're allowed to own. But once you have a couple solid variations already of something you love, any more will probably become redundant in your wardrobe. And you'll always end up just gravitating towards and wearing your top favorite ones, which leaves the others to languish unworn. And honestly, it makes your closet more overwhelming and hard to navigate getting dressed day to day. I think this pitfall really gets people because when you have a variation on a theme you love, you might not necessarily regret any one individual addition to that collection. But I do think you may end up regretting having 6 green sweaters, for example. Because here's the thing. Best case scenario, if you already have 4 green sweaters and then you buy a 5th one, that 5th one is the perfect sweater to end all sweaters. It becomes your new favorite. Even then, you still have 4 other green sweaters to manage and keep track of. They become overwhelming to choose between. They make your decision-making process getting dressed every day harder. And they just sit there wasting space in your closet and making you feel guilty every time you choose that one that you like the best and ignore all the other ones again. It's also quite likely that the new one becomes your favorite sweater because it's new, not because it's actually better than all the other ones. And then once that novelty wears off in a couple months, you just have even more duplicates for no reason. And then of course we have more of a worst case scenario. You have 4 green sweaters and you buy a 5th one, maybe on impulse, maybe forgetting about all the options you already have. And then you realize you don't even like it better than the ones you already have. And you just keep wearing the ones you already have that you like better. And then that new one is a waste of money and it doesn't get worn. That's like the most regrettable version of this. And either way, it's an overwhelming and frustrating scenario to be in, I would say. So how can we avoid this altogether? I would say, firstly, if you have a certain number of similar items, let's say 5 green sweaters, maybe you just fully put a ban on buying any more. And if you're going like, oh, but half of those sweaters are just old items I still have lying around that don't work for me anymore. They don't fit anymore. They don't fit my current lifestyle. Maybe you can set a little rule for yourself that you have to pass those ones on to a new home before you can buy a new one. Otherwise, let's say you're not putting yourself on a ban. You are in the market to consider buying a duplicate. Ask yourself if you truly like the piece you're considering more than the options you already own. I also love having my wardrobe digitally cataloged so I can actually check what I already own while I'm out shopping. I mean, of course, ideally we can all remember all of our clothes, but also we all forget about random items that we have sometimes, especially if you're shopping for a different season or something you don't quite remember the winter wardrobe you have, in storage. It can be so helpful to have a visual catalog on hand right in your pocket to reference to make sure the item you're considering isn't kind of the same thing you already have and maybe not even as good. Finally, if I have convinced myself that I do like this new duplicate better than all the other variations I own, I would also ask myself, will I still like this one better than all the others when I've had it for a few months and it's not as fresh and new to me anymore? Obviously, this isn't always something you can know before you get there, but just taking a moment to consider it and picture how you'll feel about this item in a few months after it's, gone through the wash, after it's gotten some wear, can sometimes sort of snap you out of the enchantment of the shiny new thing. Finally, at the same time, while I think you'll regret duplicates to an unnecessary degree, I also think you will regret variety just for variety's sake. For example, buying sweaters in every color of the rainbow because you feel like you should have all these different colors when really you only wear like 3 of those colors. Or even specifically adding a sweater in a new color to your collection because you don't have any sweaters in that color. And then getting home and realizing the reason you didn't already have any orange sweaters is because you don't really like to wear orange. And your attempt at variety just ended up being something that isn't your style and that you won't wear. Sorry, I'm using sweaters as my examples for like everything in this video. They're just my most worn winter attire. They're what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of winter clothes. I think the best way to avoid this regret and figure out if you're actually buying variety that will add some new value to your wardrobe or just variety for its own sake is to try to think of 3 to 5 realistic outfits in which you would actually wear this new item. And not just ways someone could wear it, but outfits you actually would wear and would be excited to wear using the clothes you already have. Also, like I said, it's good to check in and, ask yourself, do I already have something like this? However, if the answer is no, this is totally different from anything else I have, that doesn't necessarily mean you should get it. So I would also ask, does this piece align with my style and the style I'm aiming to achieve? Because ideally, new purchases add some new value to your wardrobe, but also further develop the style you want, work with the pieces you have, and align with your overall vision for your style. So when you're considering something a little outside your usual box, it's good to ask if this is going to contribute to that vision, enhance it, expand it, or distract from it. All right, y'all, those are all my winter-specific tips for clothing you might regret buying. But if in advance of Black Friday specifically, you are seeking even more of this sort of de-influencing anti-haul content, tips to avoid shopping regret, I have a whole series of these clothes you'll regret buying videos that I think you might really enjoy and get more value out of. So I will link a playlist of those right here. I would love to hear additional tips to avoid winter shopping regrets in the comments, of course. And I heard if you do leave a comment, watch another video, and subscribe, you'll come up with the perfect holiday gathering outfits this year entirely from pieces you already own. And then you'll go to your holiday events and everyone will compliment you on your great outfit.